Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's disc review, we are taking a look at the Mana from Thought Space Athletics. In this video, we're going to kick things off by taking a look at the profile and the feel, followed by the flight, both lefty and righty perspectives, how I would use the Mana out on the course, different plastic types it comes in, as well as in the lefty lines, comparing it to other mid-ranges out on the market. If that kind of thing is for you, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future disc reviews. So for the profile and also the feel, it has a nice rounded nose and a very flat flight plate. That rounded nose means that in the hand, particularly for backhand throws, it doesn't cut into the hand whatsoever. It feels very comfortable, and with that flat flight plate, it has a very slender profile, making this a very shallow feeling mid-range. Overall, I would consider the Mana to be a very understable mid-range. Its flight numbers, it is a speed 5 with a glide of 5, turn -2 and a fade of 1. And as you're going to see with the flight, the Mana is very understable in the early and middle parts of the flight, but then having a little bit of a bite at the end, particularly at those medium to slower speeds. Now, at slower speeds, when thrown on a hyzer angle, that's what it's going to do. It is going to hold that hyzer, but again, you do have to take a little bit of power off, because if you do rip into it, it does have the ability to flip up to flat and ride a little bit too straight. As you're seeing, this is a great option when it comes to hyzer flipping, whether you are an experienced hyzer flipper or you're just trying to start learning it. The Mana with that understability in the early part of the flight makes it just a great hyzer flipping tool. And then once you start throwing the Mana flat, you're going to start to notice that understability in the middle part of the flight, is you're going to get a good panning turn, but it's not going to like turn and burn like some understable mid-ranges. It still has enough integrity, enough torque resistance that it's not going to fully turn over, but you're going to get a little bit of a pan, and then it will check up in the later parts of the flight before just having, again, just that little bit of fight, that little bit of hyzer. Now, once you do start putting it on those anhyzer lines, yes, it is going to start holding those turnover shots all the way to the ground. But again, it has just enough torque resistance and enough late bite at the end that even if you do put it on those anhyzer lines, it's going to hold controlled turnovers. It's not necessarily going to turn into an incidental roller. Instead, it's just going to kind of hold those turnover lines, hold that angle pretty much all the way to the ground, and then depending on how much height you give it or how fast you throw it, maybe just at the very end, it'll level itself out and just kind of have like an elevator drop. Now, since the Mana is understable, it does not handle that extra torque that's put on it when it comes to forehand. You're going to want to throw it with some touch, you're going to want to throw it with more wrist and less arm, and you'll want to probably keep it on a bit of a hyzer angle just because it can get a little bit squirrely, but you can use that to your advantage for those more turnover forehand shots to get out of jail if you're in the woods. This is such a great disc to use in the woods. It has amazing glide and is extremely versatile, as you can shot shape a lot of different lines because of how understable it is in the earlier parts of the flight and that sneaky stability at the later parts of the flight. Now, out on the course, I really love the Mana when it comes for hyzer flipping. Even if I just need to get around something, I can trust it's going to hyzer flip. It's going to ride out straight, and then depending on the height, have a big fade. Or like this, if you're going down maybe any kind of tunnel, hyzer flip it to flat, laser beam straight with very minimal fade at the end when thrown low. But where I really think the Mana shines are these gentle turnover shots. If you throw it low, it's going to have almost no fade back whatsoever, or you can give it a little bit of height, watch that panning gentle turn, and then just again at the very end of the flight, it has a nice little bit of a hyzer finish. But again, with that understability in the earlier part of the flight, it does make the Mana perfect for those turnover shots. When it comes to the different plastic types, the Mana does come in its fair share. Whether you're looking for one in a glow plastic or something a little bit softer in the Ethos Soft, there are a few different Manas out there, so you can really find the one that fits what you are looking for. For the purposes of this video, I do have the Mana also in the glow plastic, and I will say It's not overstable, but it is just a slight tick up in overstability compared to, I believe it's the Nebula Aura that you've been seeing throughout this video. It doesn't have as much of a panning turn, it's considerably straighter and has a little bit of a harsher finish, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to get turn out of it. As you can see when thrown flat, it will still get a panning turn, but it can handle torque just a little bit better, maybe handle the wind just a little bit better, and then have just, again, a little bit harsher of a finish. For the lefty lines, I'm deciding to pit the Mana against a few other neutral and understable mid-ranges that are out on the market today. A mid-range that I would say is probably one of the closest to the Mana out on the market is going to be the Detour from MVP. They both are very understable in the early parts of the flight, and then just a little bit of a sneaky fade at the very end, getting that nice panning turn in the middle of the flight. The Mako 3, where I think in some plastics is going to be a lot straighter than either the Mana or the Detour. If you get the Mako 3 in G-Star, then it's going to be very, very similar to these, though I do think Mako 3 in Champion or in Halo is going to be very, very straight. And then you have the MD1 or Mindbender from Discmania, and that is going to pretty much be very similar to what like a Champion level Mako 3 is, which is going to be incredibly straight, maybe the slightest little bit of turn, and then just a little bit of a hyzer out at the very end. Overall, the Mana in this Nebula Aura is very, very similar to the Detour. However, I do wish I had thrown the Glow versus these as well, because I do think that the Glow is very similar to the MD1, where it's going to go straight, maybe just the slightest of panning turns, and then a little bit harsher of a finish. Really, I think just great complements to each other. Well, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Overall, I feel the Mana is a perfect disc for players with slower and medium arms. It's just something you can work on so many different lines, on so many different courses, and also it comes in a few different plastic types where you can get a little bit of different shot variety that do complement each other very, very well. Do not sleep on the Mana. It is well worth your time. Also, be sure to go visit GreatLakesDisc.com for any of your disc buying needs, and be sure to subscribe and also smash that like button. Until the next video, keep banging chains.